Then said Achilles, son of Atreus, king of men, Agamemnon, see to these matters as some other season, when there is breathing time, and when I am calmer. What you have men eat while the bodies of those whom Hector, son of Priam, slew are still lying mangled upon the plain. Let the sons of the Phrygians, say I, fight fasting and without food till we have avenged them afterwards at the going down of the sun. Let them eat their fill. As for me, Patroclus is lying dead in my tent, all hacked and hewn, with his feet to the door, and his comrades are mourning around him. Therefore I can take thought of nothing save only slaughter and blood, and rats on the throat of the dying. Odysseus answered, Achilles, son of Peleus, mightiest of all the Phrygians, in battle you are better than I, and that more than a little. But in counsel I am much before you, for I am older and of greater knowledge. Therefore be patient under my words. Fighting is a thing on which men soon surfeit, and when Zeus, who is war's steward, weighs the upshot, it may well prove that the straw which our sickles have reaped is far heavier than the grain. It may not be that the Phrygians should mourn the dead with their bellies, day by day, fall thick and threefold continually, when should we have respite from our sorrow. Let us mourn our dead for a day and bury them out of sight and mind, but let those of us who are left eat and drink, that we may arm and fight our foes more fiercely. In that hour let no man hold back, waiting for a second summons, and such summons shall bode ill for him who is found lagging behind at our ships. Let us rather sally as one man and loose the fire of war upon the Trojans. When he had thus spoken, he took with him the sons of Nestor, with Medes, son of Philus, Thoas, Meroneus, Lycomedes, son of Creotes, and Menelaus, and went to the tent of Agamemnon, son of Atreus. The word was not sooner said than the deed was done. They brought out the 7 tripods which Agamemnon had promised, with the 20 metal cauldrons and the 12 horses. They also brought the women skilled in useful arts, 7 in number, with Briseis, which made 8. Odysseus weighed out the 10 talents of gold and then led the way back, while the young Phrygians brought the rest of the gifts and laid them in the middle of the assembly. Agamemnon then rose, and Talthybius, whose voice was like that of God, came to him with the boar. The son of Atreus drew the knife which he wore by the scabbard of his mighty sword, and began by cutting off some bristles of the boar, lifting up his hands in prayer. As he did so, the other Phrygians sat where they were all silent and orderly to hear the king. And Agamemnon looked into the vault of heaven and prayed, saying, I call Zeus, the first and mightiest of all gods, to witness. I call also earth and sun, and the Erinyes, who dwell below, and take vengeance on him who shall swear falsely, that I have laid no hand upon the girl, Briseis, neither to take her as my bed, nor otherwise, but that she has remained in my tent, inviolate. If I swear falsely, may heaven visit me with all the penalties which it metes out to those who perjure themselves. He cut the boar's throat as he spoke, whereon Talthybius whirled it round his head and flung it into the wide sea to feed the fishes. Then Achilles also rose and said to the Argives, Father Zeus, of truth you blind of men's eyes and bane them. The son of Atreus had not else stirred me to fierce and anger, nor so stubbornly taken Briseis from me against my will. Surely Zeus must have counseled the destruction of many an Argive. Go now and take your food, that we may begin fighting. On this he broke up the assembly. Every man went back to his own ship. The Myrmidons attended to the presents and took them away to the ship of Achilles. They placed them in his tents, while the stablemen drove the horses, and among the others Briseis fair as Aphrodite. When she saw the mangled body of Patroclus, flung herself upon it, and cried aloud, tearing her breast, her neck, and her lovely face, but both her hands. The beautiful as goddess, she kept and said, Patroclus, dearest friend, when I went hence, I left you living. I return, O prince, to find you dead. As do precious sorrows multiply upon me one after the other. I saw him to whom my father and mother married me, cut down before our city, and my 3 own dear brothers perished with him on the selfsame day. But you, Patroclus, even when Achilles slew my husband and sacked the city of noble Menes, told me that I was not to weep, for you said you would make Achilles marry me, and take me back with him to Phthia. We should have a wedding feast among the Myrmidons. You were always kind to me, and I shall never cease to grieve for you. She wept as she spoke, and the women joined in her laments, making as though their tears were for Patroclus, but in truth each was weeping for her own sorrows. The elders of the Phrygians gathered round Achilles and prayed him to take food, but he groaned and would not do so. I pray you, said he, if any comrade will hear me, bid me neither eat nor drink, for I am in great heaviness, and will stay fasting, even to the going down of the sun. On this he sent the other princes away, save only the 2 sons of Atreus and Odysseus, Nestor, Idomeneus, and the knight Phoenix, who stayed behind and tried to comfort him in bitterness of his sorrow, but he would not be comforted till he should have flung himself into the jaws of the battle. And he fetched a silent sigh, thinking ever of Patroclus. Then he said, Hapless and dearest comrade, you it was who would get a good dinner ready for me at once, and without delay, when the Phrygians were hastening to fight with Trojans. Now therefore, though I have meat and drink in my tents, yet I will fast for sorrow. Grief greater than this I could not know, not even though I were to hear of the death of my father, who is now in Phthia weeping for the loss of me, his son, who am here fighting with Trojans in a strange land for the cursed sake of Helen. Nor yet though I should hear that my son is no more, he who is being brought up in Syracuse, if indeed Neoptolemus is still living. Till now I made sure that I alone was to fall here at Troy, away from Argos, while you were to return to Phthia. Bring back my son with you in your own ships, and show him all my property, my bondsmen, and the greatness of my house, for Peleus might sure be either dead, or what little life remains to him is oppressed of life with infirmities of age, and ever-present fear, lest he should hear the sad tidings of my own death. He wept as he spoke, and the elders sighed in concert at each other's thoughts on what he would have left at home. Behind him, the son of Cronos looked down with pity upon them, and said presently to Athena, My child, you have quite deserted your hero. Is he then gone so clean out of your recollection? There he sits by the ships all desolate for the loss of his dear comrade, and those others are gone to their dinner. He will neither eat nor drink. Go then and drop nectar and ambrosia into his breast, that he may know no hunger. With these words he urged Athena, who was already the same mind. She darted down from heaven into the air like some falcon, sailing on his broad wings and screaming. Meanwhile the Phrygians were arming throughout the host, and when Athena had dropped nectar and ambrosia into Achilles, so that no cruel hunger should cause his limbs to fail him, she went back to the house of her mighty father, thick as chill snowflakes, shed from the hand of Zeus, and born of the keen blast of the north wind. Even so thick did the gleaming helmets of Austin ships, with strongly plated breastplates, and the ashen spears sticking from the ships. The sheen pierced the sky. The whole land was radiant with their flashing armor, and the the sound of the tramp of their treading rose from under their feet. In the midst of them all Achilles put on his armor. He gnashed his teeth, his eyes gleamed like fire, for his grief was greater than he could bear. Thus then, full of fury to the Trojans, did he don the gift of the god, the armor that Hephaestus had made him. First he put on the goodly greaves fitted with ankle clasp, and next he did on the breastplate about his chest. He slung the silver-studded sword of bronze about his shoulders, and then took up the shield so great and strong that shone afar with a splendor as of the moon, as the light seen by sailors from out at sea, when men have lit a fire in the homestead high up among the mountains. But the sailors are carried out to sea by wind and storm far from the haven where they would be. Even so did the gleam of Achilles' wondrous shield strike up into the heavens. He lifted the redoubtable helmet and set it upon his head, from whence it shone like a star, and the golden plumes which Hephaestus had set thick about the ridge of the helmet wave all around it. Then Achilles made trial of himself and his armor to see whether it fitted him, so that his limbs could play freely under it, that it seemed to void him up as though it had been wings. He also drew his father's spear out of the spear's hand, a spear so great and heavy and strong that none of the Aegeans, save only Achilles, had strength to wield it. This was the spear of Helena, ash from the topmost ridges of Mount Pelion, which Chiron had once given to Peleus. For not to wait for the death of heroes, Automedon and Alcimus busied themselves with the harnessing of his horses. They made the bands fast about them, and put the bit in their mouths, drawing the reins back towards the chariot. Automedon, whip in hand, sprang up behind the horses, and after him Achilles, mounted in full armor, resplendent as the sun god Hyperion. Then with a loud voice he treated his father's horses, saying, Xanthus and Balius, famed offspring of Podarg, this time when we have done fighting, be sure and bring your driver safely back to the host of the Phrygians, and do not leave him dead on the plain, as you did Patroclus. Then fleet Xanthus answered under the yoke, for white-armed Hera had endowed him with human speech, and he bowed his head till his mane touched the ground, as it hung down from under the yoke band. Dread Achilles, said he, we will indeed save you now, but the day your death is near, and blame will not be ours, for it will be heaven and certain fate that will destroy you. Neither was it through any sloth or slackness on our part that the Trojans stripped Patroclus of his armor. It was mighty God whom lovely Leto bore that slew him as he fought among the foremost, and vouchsafed a triumph to Hector. We too can fly as swiftly as Zephyrus, who they say is fleetest of all winds. Nevertheless, it is your doom to fall by the hand of a man and of a god. When he had thus said, the Erineus stayed his speech, and Achilles answered him in great sadness, saying, Why, O Xanthus, do you thus foretell my death? You need not do so, for I well know that I am to fall here, far from my dear father and mother. None the more, however, shall I stay my hand till I have given the Trojans their fill of fighting. So saying, with a loud cry, he drove his horses to the front.